we are working with a company doing AI for data analysis. Again, for SMBs, they have a platform where if you have the data, you can actually use AI very privately. Data sources, that you own are going to be kept private. It's not going to be sent to the internet, and the AI, is going to help you understand your data in a way that you were not able to do that before. So that I think is going to be, again, leveling the playing field.
Hey there, folks. My name is Mark Johnson, and I'm really, really excited today. We have Franco Monsalvo. Did I pronounce that right, Franco?
Yeah, almost.
Almost. I didn't do it justice. So let's give the audience the correct pronunciation. Could you tell us the name for you?
Yeah, it's a Spanish. It's Monsalvo. So yeah, I come from Argentina, so that makes a lot of sense, right?
Awesome. Well, glad to have you here, Franco. I'm really excited to have you here today to talk to our listeners today. Is this Learn.Grow.Deploy podcast? We're focusing all on AI, and this series is based on the AI Unplugged. And I know you're the co-founder, CTO of Revolt. Just tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into that space.
Sure. Yeah. So I started very young with the computers. I mean, like 8, 9 years old. I had a computer at home, and I was mostly hacking stuff around and breaking it, and that became a passion, right? And then when I was older and I had to choose a career,
Mhm.
I didn't think twice. I just went with technology. And I started as a developer. I remember doing C++. I'm a little bit old, so and then you can tell, right? And then I started doing that. I worked at a couple interesting companies like Visa, the credit card company.
Mhm.
Then went on to the director and AVP at one of the biggest Argentinian software companies,
Mhm.
later on CTO at Global Logic, right? So, I mean, the career path was pretty far and long, and then after a while, I decided that corporate was not as fun anymore, and decided to
Mm.
I wanted to have my own company. That was around 2016, 2017, when everyone was doing that. And yeah, so I created Revolt. We are a product design and development agency, right? So we help mostly startups design, think about, build products, and then we help them with everything that comes after.
Wonderful. No, thanks for that background. I've seen a lot about, Revolt. I'm online, I'm familiar with the brand and so forth. And, honestly, you're the first person I've actually interviewed from Argentina, which is really awesome. Just for the listeners out there, like, how is it in Argentina compared to other parts, let's say to the States? Like, what are some of the biggest differences you see?
So there are many, right? It's first of all, Argentina is kind of like a very multicultural country, right? We had a series of immigration, right, from Italy, Spain. Nowadays, we have a ton of people from the U.S. and that multicultural feel gives a lot of creativity, right? And you know we grew up, with the U.S. As the North. We were watching, the TV series and movies, so very culturally aligned to that, but at the same time, very culturally aligned and tied to Europe. So it's kind of like a very interesting mix, right, of the new and old world. And talent is amazing. I mean, it's we have a very interesting industry. Started around the 90s. Then during the 2000s, it grew, and we started, exporting services to the US. And from then on, it's just kind of like, you know, exploded. And it's very interesting. We have a ton of talent around AI. We have a ton of talent around blockchain. And yeah, so It's a very interesting country to be at. Very, at the forefront of everything that's going on.
No, that's awesome. So, you led right into something I definitely want to talk to you about today, and that is, based on your whole first experience with AI and just your overall experience in the field. You just mentioned blockchain and so forth. Like, what solidified a moment? Like, what was pivotal? Whether it be a moment, a project, a client that really just sparked your whole passion for AI.
So it was a while ago when we were talking more about machine learning and not so much about AI. Remember the old
Oh
times?
yes, yes.
And it was just getting started, right? And we were working with a very big retail company here in the US. Not sure if I can say the name, but they had a problem at the moment that was about logistic and packaging,
Okay.
and so we were hired to figure out, a machine learning model that was able to predict and learn, which type of boxes should be used for the different shipping that they had to do. And
Okay.
that at that moment was kind of like groundbreaking. And it started thinking, oh, okay, how much more can we do with the AI, right? And at the moment, again, it's not LLMs, it's not this Gen AI. It was machine learning models, a lot of math, and trying to understand how to do that. And at that moment already, the value and the possibilities were so big, right? And then as we went on and studied using that, and the industry or the field
Mhm.
grew, you know, you could do more and more, and you don't know where the limit is.
No, it's interesting you say that. I worked with a client it's about 5 years ago, and they actually were using a lot of C++. Now, myself, my background isn't in C++. I'm more on the cloud side, especially a lot of Google Cloud stuff. But in particular, in your case, I mean, you mentioned, doing a lot with the math and ML stuff, models and things like that. What would you say would be something someone would need to learn from a tech stack perspective? Like, what would you recommend?
Oh, that's a good one, right?
Mhm.
Because the field is changing so much. I would say, understanding math concept is going to be always, relevant.
Okay.
Understanding, a lot of how the whole AI stack is composed,
Mhm.
a lot of data engineering, that for sure, right? Because we have to always remember, right? Because we see what AI is doing and we think it's magic, right? But we need to think and continue to think that it's all about data, and how do you prepare the data? How do you get the data to actually train the model? So understanding data engineering, I think it's going to be crucial, and it's going to be even more crucial as the time goes by.
Yeah, that's a great, data is so huge, nowadays. I mean, of course, big data has been around a while, but now, like, what you're able to do with it, with all these different tech stacks out there, these various cloud providers, is so key. And with that being said, like, what do you I'm thinking about all these things within ML, right? And AI and so forth. Like, what part of it most excites you, right? I mean, you have vision, you got speech to text, you got all kinds of things now, creating audio, Gen AI. Like, what makes you, what's your most, which one you most passionate about?
Okay, so being, a big science fiction fan, computer vision, and
I
you
love it.
apply that, right? I think it's, so interesting, and so there's so much value, and I think it's one of the fields that hasn't had, the spotlight that it deserves, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot around Gen AI. There's a lot about, the LLMs and stuff like that, but
Right.
computer vision, I mean, what you can do, or the possibilities are huge. The
Mhm.
other one I find very, I mean, I don't know if interesting, but at least delightful is, image generation, video generation, being able to generate, very high quality content
Yeah.
without having to actually know how to do it. I
Whew.
think it's very interesting, right? I've seen a lot of there's people doing, anime based
Mhm.
on, generated video content, and so you kind of like, hey, this is my idea, and let's put it, out there as a video, and that I think could open up, a world of possibilities.
No, I totally agree. You made me spark my brain a little bit back. I'm a lot of I'm big into tech gadgets and stuff. And so this was about 10 years ago. I had one of the original, Google Glass, and I always remember this augmented reality, um,
Yeah.
the little glass thing popping out. But the cool thing about it, when you said vision, there was a cool app when you could look at something and it would translate it to a different language. And I just thought that was just so cool. And and,
That's
and just it's evolving now, and there's more AR stuff coming. But man, I agree with you on the vision. I'm a big fan of just like looking at stuff and say, hey, tell it to me in a different language, or train,
Yeah, and I
show
think,
it.
there's so much that needs to be done yet. I mean, I don't think anyone has, done it right yet.
Mhm,
With Apple with the Vision Pro, that is not working that well.
mhm.
I remember I got one of the first HoloLens from Microsoft, which I
Oh,
thought, they were amazing, right? But
right.
they were big and heavy and hard to use. But we haven't yet found a way to do that, and use technology in a way that we can wear that humane, just sold the business to HP for dimes
Right.
because it failed, right? So, I mean, that integration of hardware in AI, I think we still, in the beginning, and what's coming, it's very exciting.
No, it really is exciting. And speaking of that, like with all this excitement and all this new tech, I mean, there's lots of conferences coming. We're hitting the springtime. What are some misconceptions about, AI, ML that you like to address? Like, what are some of the common misconceptions you see out there?
Sure. Yeah, and there's a couple of things. There's could be a couple of caveat and warnings that I usually.
Okay.
We are doing a lot of AI talks around, the enterprise companies that we work with, right? And
Hmm.
and there's certain stuff that usually, when you tell them, it's kind of like, what? Really? So, hallucinations, not always doing, or getting the right output out of your input. People don't know that. There's been so many things around that. There's been cases, of airlines having to pay people because the AI produce, wrong information or hallucinations. And also, people always forget about that. Hey, this is, a sophisticated algorithm, trained using a lot of data, right? But that data, it could be biased. It has been generated by people, right? I
Hmm.
mean, it used to. Now it's also generated by AI. So that's another very interesting thing, right? What's going to happen when the AI gets trained with AI generated content?
Hmm. That's
That's
true.
gonna be interesting. So I think that, some of the misconceptions that people usually have is that, right? It's that, hey, this is gonna replace, people. It's gonna replace the workers. We don't need coders anymore, right? And you see that, and then you realize that, hey, wait, we're not even there yet, right? I mean, what we're getting out of the AI, it's not always right. It's not always the best solution. It's just, an algorithm generating content based on a training, right? So I think that's also very interesting to address. That, hey, this is gonna take all the programmers' jobs. So I don't think that's gonna happen, right? And I do think, that it's gonna be a problem that
Hmm.
a lot of younger developers,
Okay.
right now are learning based on AI. And, they are taking that AI content as, face value. So what's going to happen, if you don't start, to get real experience, you don't start to understand what's going on,
C
what's
plus
going to happen?
plus.
Right. I mean, C++,
Right.
OSs,
Hmm.
simple data structures, right? How does everything work? If you don't know that, right? I'm a little bit worried of what's gonna happen with the profession, right?
Hmm.
Not about me losing my job, right? But where are we going, right? As a profession, if we are letting, a computer do our job without even thinking. So there's many things that we still need to talk about and discuss. There's ethic also, and data privacy. There's this is just the beginning, right? I mean, and it's moving so fast that we forget about that. But we're just starting, and we need to see where this go.
Totally agree. And you brought up a lot of very interesting topics there, as far as the younger developers coming into the industry and like the ethical parts of it. Like, For me, I see a lot of those things as, big challenges, right? Especially when you talk about like the workers and particularly like understanding how things work because you have this magic, you know, prompt, right? And it gives you all these answers. But beside my own personal thought, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face, working with AI every day? Like, what are some out of those things? Would you say it is the working with the developers? Is it with the clients? Like, what's your thoughts there?
Sure. I think the biggest one it's a general misunderstanding of what AI is and how to work with it,
Hmm.
right? You can see it from so many different levels. First of all, I have some of my clients they don't come from the tech world, right? I mean, a lot of the people that we work with,
Hmm.
they are people that have an SMB or that they have a more of a traditional type of work or product, and they want to have a digital version of that, right? So coming from there, right, from giving, I don't know, having a surgery clinic, right, and wanting to create a platform to connect, your doctors with the patients,
Hmm.
coming from, being a very good, surgeon, right,
Right.
but not knowing how this work, a lot of the time is, I want to add AI to this. And
Hmm.
I don't know how, I don't know why, but everyone is doing it, right? And I want to.
Hmm.
So talking about that, talking about, what it takes to actually add
Yes.
AI and in some niches or industries, you kind of just put chat GPT on the medical
Right.
platform, right? I mean, it's not just plug and play and that's it because,
Right.
someone's going to come and say, what are you doing with the data, right?
Oh yeah, the regulations. Yeah, they're
Right?
coming for you.
Regulation exists for something, right? So
Yeah.
so I'm just, trying to, hey, if you want to do this right, we will need to, host something, right? We will need to build the infrastructure. We will need to train a model, right? It's not like ChatGPT could, replace a doctor. I mean, if you do that, you're in for big trouble. So you need to, train a model for medical, at least for now, right? Foundation models are getting, more popular and more powerful. Maybe in a couple of years, you don't need to. You just have, okay, this is the foundation model that I can use that know how to do, medical stuff. But right now you need to, right? And that that's costly. It takes time. It takes a ton of data. It takes a ton of time, and it takes a ton of money. So doing that is usually not easy, right? And if you find a solution, again, it's usually not, it's half baked,
Mhm.
to say the least. It could help you get closer, but again, it's not, it's not gonna be ideal. So that's one of the challenges. I would say most common challenge I have. Uh, on the development side, I don't have that much. I mean, developers are usually pretty good at adapting new technologies. So everyone at the company is using AI, for coding, like Cursor or Copilot, and very happy with. We are doing a lot of we do a lot of research. So when we work with a client, part of what we do it's the strategy of the product, right? We understand what's the market like, where we'll be working, what's the go to market strategy, what's the competitor doing, stuff like that, right? And we used to do that you know manually, right, going into the internet and looking to reports and stuff like that. So nowadays what we do it's adding AI to that, so it helps with the research, and it not only saves time, right,
Mhm.
it also gives us a view that before was very hard to do because we cannot browse the entire internet, right? We cannot go
Mhm.
to everywhere to get the data
Right.
that we need. So now we're getting, even more data, even more, research that it was hard to get before. So in the internal side of the company, I think that AI has been not a challenge, but actually, something that has helped us improve the way we work.
No, I love what you said there. And, it made me think about one of the things you said earlier about data engineering, right? And big data and so forth and having tons of it. And I can totally see how if you're especially if you're SMB or even some of these enterprises, right? Just how much data do you even have to
Right.
even be able to use the trainer model, right? Which is it's going to take, it may take them a few years. They may have not even been saving the data. They may have been getting rid of it, or,
Oh, right. No, yeah, that's for sure. I mean, big enterprises, they have the data warehouses and the data lakes and stuff like that. But
Yep. Mhm.
smaller businesses,
Yep.
they don't even know how to get started. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago helping them set up Tableau because they wanted to look at their revenue numbers.
Hmm.
Or the revenue numbers were 2 years ago, something like that. I mean, wasn't that much data to actually look at, right? And it was like, really? Are you paying Tableau for that? I mean, you can just get an Excel and do it, right?
Right. Right. Just put it there. Right. There's a little CSV file, right? You good to go.
Yeah.
No, that's great. No, I appreciate that. That's a good one. Another question I have. So, all right, there's a lot of stuff. We use a lot of some of the typical buzzwords. Your Gen AI, we got vision, you got natural language processing, all that good stuff. What are some of the most exciting developments you're seeing right now that excite you?
Oof. I think I have to say agents, right? I,
Ah,
I just learned about Manus the other day.
nice.
I haven't even had the time to
Mhm.
look at it, right? But I think agent, it's what I've seen from Manus, look like, hey, I have a person doing this, right? It was browsing the internet, connecting to different databases, getting all the work that you needed, right? Just hey, I need to research something, and now I think OpenAI said they are having a new plan that you can hire a kind of like a AI PhD type of agent that for 20K a month, which I think it's a lot, you can replace your PhD and do research. So I think
Oh,
agents are gonna be a big thing. Again, we need to stay away from the hype. We don't know, how which form it's gonna take, but
right.
so far it looks pretty promising.
No, I agree. I went to an event recently about some agents as well, and I'm trying to get some early access to some products so I can get some hands on. But I haven't touched one yet. But yeah, I totally agree. I'm looking forward to testing out some new agents as well. Um, With that being said, I mean, obviously, with an agent, based on how it's being pitched right now, that these agents can basically take on a role at a company and do like a job or a task, a repetitive task over and over. So what are some like practical applications of AI that you find like impactful or interesting? I mean, so, we talked about agents doing some of this stuff, but is that most interesting or practical to you? What's your thoughts there?
I think agents are practical. I think
Hmm.
I mean they're gonna have an impact, right? But I don't think they are, redoing anything, right? It's just replacing what a human being used to do
Hmm.
with a computer, right? And I mean, it's gonna have a big impact because you don't need the people to do that work anymore, right?
Right.
But it's not disruptive, right? It's not changing how things happen. I think there's many things. We are working with a company doing AI for data analysis. Again,
Oh,
for SMBs, they have a platform where if you have the data, you can actually use AI very privately. Data sources, that you own are going to be kept private. It's not going to be sent to the internet, and the AI, is going to help you understand your data in a way that you were not able to do that before. So that I think is going to be, again, leveling the playing field. There's some times where technology help leveling the playing field for smaller organizations, right?
hmm.
What used to take, I don't know, a team of 20 data engineers and only enterprise could have, now a smaller business can do it with this platform or some other that are out there in the market, and
Hmm.
now you have, hey, real data, and you can work as a big enterprise, right? Um, we had another very interesting case with a founder that created an application for fashion. So it may not sound that impactful, but I mean she got like 60,000 users in less than a year. So I mean people were looking to get something like that. And the AI at the moment, or still doing it, right? What it does is with computer vision and machine learning, it helps women better understand their style and recommend clothing that is gonna not just fit right, that
Hmm.
it's gonna look good on them, that it's gonna, highlight. their body shapes and their style, and in a way that it's not about, hey,
Mhm.
is this fitting me, right? Is the right size? It's even beyond that. It's, hey, is this looking good on me? So I think that technology in particular, I think it's impactful in a way that it helps with how you see yourself, right? If you look nice, right? If you
Right.
like what you see, it helps with the self-esteem, and I think it's going to help in that social aspect. But at the same time, it helping retailers avoid the cost of returns. Okay,
Ah,
because returning clothes,
yes.
it's a big cost. I mean, we don't think about that because it's very common, right?
Right.
But it's a huge cost for the retailers. So
Mhm.
now, if I get a cloth, right, that not only fits but also looks good on me,
Right.
the probability of me returning the item, it's way lower. So
Mhm.
it's helping, on both sides. One, it's, hey, I'm looking good. I like myself. I
Mhm.
feel better with myself, which is always a good thing. But on the other side, it's helping the retailers saving costs that now can be, invested in some other initiatives. So there's so many things that AI can help and so many impact. Either it is, something that sounds pretty small,
Yep.
can have a huge impact in the industry.
Right. Especially, and you brought up a good point with the enterprises, and that I didn't think about that. If you order something on Amazon, and they usually, especially here in the states, it's very easy to return stuff. You can go to different retail stores and
Yeah.
just get print the little QR and just send it back. But like if you, like you said, can able to use AI to do some image capture of like what you're going to purchase as far as clothing or. I don't, I know that some have done some good AR stuff where you could place furniture in your house, but I know that's just going to get better and better. I
Yeah.
could definitely see that helping with those returns. With that being said, though, you made me think of one other thing. All this, LLM, Gen AI stuff. About a month, maybe about a month and a half ago, DeepSeek, came upon us. Right, there was a
Yes.
big boom on the internet. Everyone was talking about it. Another open source model. Meta has their Llama one. Like, what's your thoughts on open source? LLMs, models, and things of that nature, in regards to like cost overall.
So I'm a big fan of open source. I think that it made the industry what it is today, right? I mean, it wouldn't be possible. A lot of the things we know today wouldn't be possible without open source, right? When it comes to AI, I think it's a little bit harder because there's this businesses behind that one. I mean, Meta just it's all open source, so that's great, right? And DeepSeek and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I think that we're still in a place where we think that the model is the mode, right? And hey, if they know what the model is doing, or how it works, they're gonna copy that, and I'm losing my advantage. But again, I mean, data is always the actual mode. I mean,
Right.
you can't
Back to
have
data.
if you don't have the data, you don't have anything, right?
Right.
And
Mhm.
so I think open source is gonna be more and more common. I think
Mhm.
it's helping a lot. It's gonna be the one, that's what moves the industry forward. Because if OpenAI is just closed, and no one has access to that, how is people going to learn? How is people going to improve? How is gonna go? How are we going to be creative and invent all these different applications and tools,
Mhm.
right? So I think open source is going to become more and more common in the AI spot, or at least I wish to. So yeah, I think it's gonna be required, right? I mean, it's gonna be necessary for us to move forward.
No, I totally agree. No, that's excellent. Awesome. Let me see. Let me see if we have any other questions. We did great. 28 minutes so far. Let me look. Let me see if there's any other one. And now, of course, we'll edit this part. No, I think you rocked it out of the park. I appreciate it. Oh, yes. Yeah, I got it. How would you explain your AI work to? Okay.
Oh,
So, one more question for you, Franco. How would you explain your work in AI to someone outside the industry? So, we got a lot of listeners that, a lot of different backgrounds and so forth. Like, How would you explain it to them?
So what I usually tell, my clients that are outside of the tech world is that they need to think about AI as an enabler, right? Of better experiences, right? And again, that's something we didn't touch on, and it's something that I always tell with everyone, right? So everything in I would say everything in the life, right? It's an experience. It's about the experience that you have, right? So when you talk about AI and when you use AI, you need to think about what's the experience that you want to, give to the user, and if that, AI is enabling that. So AI is kind of like, letting a computer do some of the thinking. It's letting the computer, do some of the tasks that a human would do. And to do that, there's a ton of very complicated stuff that needs to happen that, to be honest, I mean, most people don't need to know about it, right? Again, as I said before, right? It's a lot of data, a very sophisticated algorithm, allowing the computer to think, if you want, quote, quote, and then allow, that computer to take decisions and give, the end user some sort of result that is going to, in a sense, improve the experience they have. So that's usually what I say. I mean, I when we're talking with someone that is outside of the tech world, everything that happens, on the training process and stuff like that, I think it's better, keep it as a black box, because if you don't do it that way, it's going to be very confusing.
Well, look, Franco, I really appreciate you joining the show, taking your time all the way from Argentina. I know the listeners are going to love it. You shared a lot of very impactful insights here with us about what you do at Revolt, AI. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the future online, of course, or maybe as an AI agent.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me. It was very, very fun to be here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching this week's show. I hope you're subscribed. If not, be sure to hit that button. And also, be sure to follow me on social media like LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn Learning if you want to learn some cloud. And also, be sure to check out any previous episode you may have missed. See you in the next one.
Resonate.